Wow, this is George Chen, president of the Refuge House Foundation. So today, this little video is a little summary caps on my meeting that I just had with the Temple Housing Development Director, and also with a gentleman, Mr. Hawley from Temple ISD, who is in charge of all the homeless children in Temple and in the ISD, and also another lady named Belinda. And man, wow. I made this 20-slide PowerPoint, presented over about 20 minutes, and feed some question and answering, introduce my nonprofit to them, to each of them, talk about the issue homeless kids in our town. Temple 168 from beginning of school to about 2 weeks ago. Belton 364, and Killeen less than 500. These are homeless kids with housing insecurity. They do not have permanent housing, but very, very temporary housing. I presented a lot of statistics and data and what a person earns in this city. 61,000 in a household and 31,000 in a single person. That's a median income in Temple. The median cost to buy a house is 191,000. You take all those numbers together, that is a deficit like you never see before, and that's only for the workforce, right? So then you have the homeless situation. You go to the Temple Public Library, and there's hundreds of people after hours, just homeless people hanging out. And then you take all the organizations around town that are helping homeless people: Salvation Army, Family Promise, all shelters. My organization has a house, and we're in transitional housing. I can offer 3 families a place to stay for weeks to months, and Family Promise has 8 rooms for families, and Salvation Army has a bunch of beds. You have other places, shelters basically for abused women. You add all that together, it does not equal 168 place for kids. We are addressing a very, very small amount of people in this homeless population, and my talk with the city has come down to that. I think the city is doing a lot. They're working with different developers to develop affordable housing. They have these organizations that the city's working with that take the city-owned land and they develop into big complexes. There's one complex that's about to go up in the next 2 to 3 years. Who knows? If everything is on time, that's the best case scenario. 35 acres, called the Arbor House, and it's supposed to only house really men, adults. The place will have, noted to have cameras everywhere because they know it's not going to be safe for kids or for single women, for women in domestic abuse, not for women or children. They're hoping to remove a lot of people on the streets are single and can't afford anything, and also that would take people out of the shelter. So Salvation Army shelters will have all these people coming out of there into this place that there's no on-site security or anything. I mean, you're looking at this big apartment complex with everybody homeless on there. I have some serious questions about that. And the question for me is, I'm really focusing on the homeless kids. How are you going to have kids, 168 kids here, 500 in Killeen, have housing insecurity, meaning that they have no secure housing. They might go from hotel to shelter, back to hotel, back to somebody's couch. And they have no secure housing. And how are you going to have kids growing up in that situation become just really sufficient, independent adults that will contribute to their society and help other people to break their cycle of poverty? I'm sure there's some kids that come up from there. And I know some people that grew up in Section 8 housing. I myself, as an immigrant, come up from, living in an apartment with parents that work like crazy. And so I know that, some of us kids growing up in these kind of situations have an absolute, kind of bend in our hearts to succeed, because we need to succeed for our families, for our eventual outlook, to break the cycle of poverty stops with us, and then we can help others. But how many percentage of the homeless kids now will grow up to be that? Figure it out, right? So I think what we have now is horribly insufficient. The city has no thoughts about how to take care of the homeless kids population with their moms, dads. I think each of these families need their own house. No questions. They need a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment, 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment, whatever it is. They need to have their own house. They cannot share a home. You can't have 5 kids and the parents and share a home. That's not a safe environment. That's not conducive to eventually become homeowners themselves. This is not training to be sufficient, independent adults to have, the ability to break the cycle of poverty and to break the cycle of poverty for their kids. Once you're on food stamps, once you're on WIC, the goal is to get off of that. Once you're on vouchers, the goal is to get off of that, not to continue to depend on public assistance, but it's to grow. And to break the cycle of poverty, that means you're breaking the entire cycle, the mindset, the dreams and hopes that you might have in that cycle, break everything. So then you break out and you succeed and you blossom. We want to see kids in that. We want to see kids in our city doing that, cities around us doing that. What are we doing to address the needs of these children, these families? What are we doing to address that? There's no plan. There's zero plan to do that. There's a hope that one day, if the the people in the community that are homeless, that are single, that are veterans, that are, fill in the blank, they go into these areas where they can actually just put these people, that all the other organizations open their doors for families. And as you know, even if we clear out every single bed in the city, there's no 168 beds for the families. So this situation leads us to needing to find a discussion of how do we create permanent housing. We need to create it. We can't just let the city, we can't let natural selection run this process. It's bound to end up in more disarray. Things tend to go into disarray. Things don't tend to organize. Organize takes creativity, takes working together, takes partnerships. And so the one good thing that we talked about today was that the city would be very happy that I spearhead a conversation to bring all these key people together to the table and to talk. That's what we need to do. We need to bring the key people to talk, bring up these points. We need to say, one, kids need secure housing. How do we do it? How do we case manage this? How do we have funds for it? How do we have house for it? We need to do it. There's no question. We need to do it yesterday. We can't just plan, say 2 years from now, maybe something will happen. These kids need a place to be. They need security. So the other two things are solved. We talked about food insecurity and transportation insecurity. They're solved. No issues with that. People can get to them. People cannot get to them because they don't know. They don't know about the transportation security issue, so they can't get to them. But it's there. Those are there. But there's no enough doors. There's no enough beds for everybody that needs the place. Kids have no way to decide for themselves. Adults do. They want to be homeless, up to them. But the kids, they need a secure place for themselves and their families. That's all I got. We need to work on this. Okay. May God help us. He controls everything, and I trust that He will guide us and lead us to a better place. Once we all get together, partner together, work on this together, put all of our resources together. All right. Signing out.